As everything seems to get more expensive and people have questions about their finances, it's amazing to me that these US politicians have enriched themselves throughout their time in office. How did they do it? And how did they make their wealth off the backs of the American people? Let's get into it.
And a string of
My name is Casey and I have been a therapist for more than a decade, a husband, a father, and a conservative man who is trying to push forward a future of faith, fatherhood, and freedom in America. And if you can get behind that message from a common sense psychological perspective, you and I can do this together. Please like on the way in, share, subscribe, comment your opinions about these politicians. Let's get into it. There are, of course, a great many offenders when it comes to the U.S. Congress and Senate who have gone from the poor house to the rich houses of the American populace while they were in office. First, let's take a look at Nancy Pelosi.
But we have to pass the bill so that you can find out what is in it away from the fog of the controversy.
Good old Nancy and her husband came in at a healthy surge of 121 million, 0.6 to begin with, and she apparently is now worth more than $278 million. This is, of course, a long career in politics and taking the types of money that comes from special interest groups, of course, or maybe just anticipating what changes in the market factors might happen after certain bills are passed by the U.S. Congress. Everybody's favorite turtle, Mitch McDonnell, and one of the worst offenders in this area, came in at about a net value of $22.8 million to begin with, and now his estate and his assets are reported, because this is all public record, to be more than $65.3 million. Watch this.
This week has been good bipartisan cooperation and a string of
Are you good?
Bernie Sanders, who used to be one who would beat the drum about the millionaires and how the millionaire class was such a problem for the American populace, he entered into the millionaire class, and while his is paltry in comparison to many of the other politicians, he came in at about $460,000 net value, and his assets are now at about $1.3 million. So he's shifted his narrative from the millionaires to the billionaires. Watch him get accosted at this speaking event.
Seattle for being one of the most progressive cities in the United States of America. Ask him.
If you do not listen to her, your event will be shut down right now.
A little side note is that AOC came in at a great amount of student debt to begin with, and she ended with still her assets being reported as a great amount of student debt. Now, I couldn't say for sure, but there may be some numbers that are missing from her reports that are public record about what her assets look like today. But if, in fact, this is true, good for her that she doesn't come in with the wealth generation that these other politicians have. Dan Crenshaw, who is perhaps best known for being a person who threatens the life of content creators for whatever reason and makes implicit threats against people like Sean Ryan and Tucker Carlson, he came in at about $1 million asset reporting at the time that he entered into office, and he has increased that by $300,000, which to his credit might actually be salary that has contributed to the increase, but he also has gone on record as complaining that he hasn't received a raise for being in office since 2008. So I guess while we are all paying the bottom dollar because of the corruption that's involved with the U.S. government and taxation, he's still gaining in his bank account and then complaining that he doesn't get more.
don't want Dan Crenshaw to get reelected, not because I hate Dan Crenshaw or think he's actually going to make good on his promise to kill me.
Have you ever met Tucker?
If I ever meet him, I'll probably kill him.
I don't think he's gonna. It's not personal. It really isn't. It's just that if you keep electing people who are transparently corrupt and insincere, like Dan Crenshaw, then after a while, like your country falls apart.
And last but certainly not least, and perhaps the queen of corruption, who allegedly came into this country based on false pretenses and has been the subject of much fire from the legislative branch of the government right now, is Ilhan Omar. And of course, she supposedly married her brother. There's other, corruption involved with her time in office in Minnesota. But frankly, she probably shouldn't even be in office based on the fact that she had to be transposed here from another part of the world and still holds the Somali interests at the foremost of her policymaking. But she came in at negative in terms of her asset reporting when she came into office, and now her assets are reportedly between $6 and $30 million. Of course, there's a wide range there, but I have a lot of questions about how someone comes from another country, enters into U.S. Congress, and enriches herself so fervently during her time. It is, of course, off of the backs of the Americans who were welcoming to her, even elected her, and then invited her to try to be a policymaker. This is a corruption that cannot go without consequences. And if we continue to allow these types of folks into our polity, we will continue to reap the benefits of their Somalia first policymaking.
2 days ago, but it seems Minnesota Representative-elect Ilhan Omar may have already made her first move as an elected official. In a letter signed November 8th, Omar asks a U.S. district judge for compassion when sentencing 9 Minnesota Somali American men convicted of trying to join the terrorist group ISIS. She says the best deterrent to fanaticism is a system of compassion. We must alter our attitude and approach if we truly want to affect change.
Overall, just as the point of this video is that we are not angry enough about the ways that the politicians who are supposed to have our best interests at heart are in fact enriching themselves and then complaining about it and then serving the special interest groups and then betting on it in the stock market. And if you are an angry citizen like I am, please like, share, and subscribe. We can perhaps use the Overton window to defeat them together.